let's jump into our NBA. I'm sorry, because there is some other basketball that's going on right now, Brett. While we have the free agency chaos that happened, it's amazing that at 6:01 p.m. so many of these deals get worked out so instantly. Kind of like how a minute after Kiefer Sykes drains the ball in the TBT tournament, he has a contract and that is announced almost like he makes the shot and drains it and turns around and signs it at the scorer's table or something. But we got a lot of moves going on in the NBA. We haven't had some of the big moves that we were hearing rumors of, like Ben Simmons, like maybe Damian Lillard, but that seems to have died down a lot. But Ben Simmons, if you were a betting man and you could find a line, where's he gonna be? Because it seems like he's not talking to anyone in Philly.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't bet that market, but since you asked Higgins, I would say the Sixers. Why trade him when his trade value is the lowest? This was a team that was the number one seed in the Eastern Conference last year. Joel Embiid tears his meniscus in the playoffs. He tries to play through it, plays through it pretty effectively, to be quite honest. But that's a big injury. Ben Simmons, obviously, whatever was going on, he wasn't shooting in the fourth quarters. People were getting on him for that. So I wouldn't trade him when his value is the lowest. I'd maybe build that thing up a little bit. You clearly know this formula works in the regular season. You beat out the Nets, beat out the Bucks, beat out the Knicks, the Hawks. So plenty of good teams in the East throughout the regular season to get that number one seed. So I would say Sixers. Higgins is where he starts the season.
I think that makes sense, at least until all of the dust settles, because there's been a lot of movement that's happened. We also still have a lot of players that are overseas for the Olympic Games, so we'll see what happens after these all wrap up as well. But you're right, his trade value is at its lowest. I will say that if a few episodes ago, at the beginning of the summer, I was saying Chicago maybe was an option for him. After we saw what happened at the beginning of free agency, they, I would say, don't need another guard at this point after all of what they've brought onto the table in Chicago. So take the Bulls off the table. I'd agree staying in Philadelphia with the 76ers is probably where we go. The NBA G League, we have a lot of players that played well in the TBT. We have a lot of guys that are playing well in the Olympics that might get a look and go into the Summer League. Brett, is the Summer League even worth betting on, though, or is it just better for the scouts and being able to try to give guys opportunities?
Well, I'm not sure you're fully understanding what the summer league is. So the summer league is really like you're running your first and second years guys out there. You're running maybe some guys you want to give a little extra money to in hopes of enticing to stay for the G League, maybe rather than going overseas. But this is a very loosely affiliated team with your NBA roster. You will maybe see in total from the not from the summer league as a whole playing in the NBA next year because injuries, guys will get called up, guys will go back down. But opening night rosters from your summer league roster, one, two guys max from the summer league roster make an NBA roster opening night. Now that being said, throughout the season, these are guys, maybe an advantage of playing for a team summer league team, right? Coaching staffs worked with you before. You've stayed with the G League system. Now we have an injury. Now we have an injury opening, a 10-day spot, something like that. We're going to maybe favor that player. But, these are guys that will have a cup of coffee in the NBA throughout the year. Hopefully they can take this opportunity. There is an opportunity to develop a spot. Jonathan Simmons clearly did that a few years ago, ended up with San Antonio, then, parlayed that into a second contract with the Orlando Magic. So there's opportunity to do it. I'm rooting for the best for Kiefer Sykes. He signed an Exhibit 10 contract. He's obviously been a great scoring guard overseas and in the G League prior to the TBT. So that might have just been the icing on the cake. And the reason the contract might not have been announced until then, well, maybe, you're not really announcing Exhibit 10 contracts in general, Higgins. So, he hit a big shot. Maybe he, Shams took it upon himself to mention, hey, I have info on this guy. Versus, oh, Kiefer Sykes from, you know, playing in the Australian NBL signs an Exhibit 10 contract, which in most cases means he'll be waived at the end of training camp and go play with the G League team. Usually there's a little extra bonus money in there or something that a player would get, and it's in good faith that you'll go play for the G League team once cut.
Well, so it sounds like great opportunities for the players, a little bit of an icing on the cake for Kiefer Sutherland and making the shot, getting the extra little bit of Twitter hype from Shams getting this shot out and stuff. But what I'm hearing is I should not be betting on Utah Jazz White versus Utah Jazz Blue tonight.